there's one statement that completely changed the way that I approach my life with Parkinson's. And trust me, you don't want to miss it. Have you ever had a day where every little task feels like it's a mountain to climb? I know I have, and that is like every single day. Parkinson's isn't just about the big things, though. It's about how you manage the little things. And trust me, it's the small victories that add up. So today, I'm going to walk you through a typical day in my life, and I'll share some tips that have helped me get through it since I've been diagnosed for over a decade now. But stay tuned till the very end because I'm going to share one statement. There's one statement that completely changed the way that I approach my life with Parkinson's. And trust me, you don't want to miss it. Well, welcome to today's broadcast of Doing Life Today. My name is Bryce, and I'm so glad you're here. I was diagnosed with Parkinson's in 2010, so I've been living with it for quite a while. And like most of you, or many of you, or some of you, you probably have learned some things along the way. So that's all I want to do today is going to give you some insight into my day and some typical challenges, not the big challenges because we know there's a lot, but some typical challenges that I had to go through and some of the tricks and tips that I've learned on how to deal with them and maybe how to make it a bit easier. So I'm glad you're here. And if you are, please comment below. Let me know where you're from. Let's start a conversation. We want to build a community here. But let's get into some of my challenges. So, number one, mornings can be super tough for me. The stiffness, the slow movements, it can all feel like a lot to handle. But it's not about being perfect, right? It's about taking each moment as it comes and finding a way to make it through. I say to my wife all the time that when I wake up in the morning, I feel like I'm a 150-year-old man. I'm stiff, I struggle. It's just very difficult for me. So if you have trouble in the morning, whether it be slowness, stiffness, shaking, whatever it might be, here's a couple tips that I've learned, and then hopefully they'll help you. So, tip number one is to plan ahead. Set yourself up for success. You get your water, get your meds, get everything ready, get it beside your bed, get all the lids off. I find that depending on the day, I can't get my caps open on my lids, and I'm very shaky. So, everyday tasks sometimes they feel like this obstacle course, like things like that you once did without even thinking about them. Now you have to think about it, or give it a whole bunch of effort. So get your water out, get your pills out, get them right beside your bed, take the lid off the pills so that when you first wake up, you can get your medicine to you right away. All right. And that moves us into tip number two. And that really is it's getting dressed in the morning is so difficult. Like buttoning a shirt is almost impossible for me. So therefore, what I do is I leave almost all the buttons done up, as many as I can, just as much to pull it over my head, right? So that you only have a few to do once it's over your head. And anyway, so trying to get that button on is just so difficult. And even now I struggle with it, and it's midway through the day for me. So, again, the minimal buttons are. How about this? Here's a power tip. How about buttons with no shirt? Or buttons with no shirt. How about shirts with no buttons? Oh my gosh. Anyway, that's just a little tip there, right? So there, I finally got it on. Anyway, here's another thing I struggle with: going up and down stairs. Right. And I've learned this the hard way. So please pay attention. You have to keep one can free. I mean, I know you want to carry things down, whether it be laundry, books, or your boxes, whatever it might be. But the bottom line is with Parkinson's now, you should always at least have one hand free. If you can, try to carry nothing. But if you do have to carry something, always have that one hand free so that you can either balance on a railing or balance on the wall with your hand. So again, I've learned that the hard way, and trust me, I'm one hand now all the time. One of the things that you may or may not realize that now that you have Parkinson's, multitasking isn't so easy. So one thing at a time, take little steps, right? What do they always say? You can't eat an elephant in one bite. It's just small bites, small bites, small bites. Speaking of eating things, how about our medication? Managing medication is part of our daily routine, and sometimes it feels like a balancing act. Some days my medication works great, and other days not so much. So I've learned a few tricks to stay on top of it, right? So here's the trick: create a schedule, set your reminders on your phone, and or if you don't use your phone, make sure you use an organizer, but keep track of your meds. It's just so important to take your meds if it's at the same time every day. The more consistent you are with the meds, I find it works better. So I set a timer on my phone and I just let it go. If you're traveling and you're worried about time changes and how long, what time should I take it, if you're going overseas, what I do is it's just continually for me. Right now, I take my meds every 3 hours. So I set a timer for 3 hours on like my phone and it goes off. I take my meds, the timer's just reset for 3 hours. I only stop it when I sleep. And then as soon as I wake up in the morning and as soon as I get those pills in my mouth, I set my timer again and it's just every 3 hours. I know it kind of stinks. Sometimes you have to live your life in 3 hour increments, but it could be worse. You know that staying mentally active is just as important as staying physically active. Whether it's pursuing work or hobbies or just finding a new way to stay engaged, it's all part of living with Parkinson's. So, tip number seven is to find your passion. For me, my new passion is this YouTube channel and a new podcast I'm working on. Stay tuned and subscribe to be the first to know when the new podcast will launch. But you need to keep your mind moving, whether it's a creative project or volunteering or just reading or playing Sudoku. Just stay mentally engaged and it will keep you connected and it'll keep you motivated. So the next tip I have for you is to stay flexible. If something doesn't work one day, try again tomorrow. Parkinson's can be unpredictable, but don't let that stop you from finding joy in what you love. Don't give it up. You may have to adapt, you may have to adjust, but just keep trying. And some days it's going to work, and sometimes it's not. The frustration will kick in there, but do your best to push that away as fast as you can and just say, you know what, I'm going to give it a whirl tomorrow. You're doing great. You need to believe that and accept that. Every little thing you try to do is going to be a-okay. So just move, just keep moving, your mind active and your physical body moving. Living with Parkinson's means embracing both the struggles and the victories. So it's about finding strategies that work for you and adjusting when you need to. So tip number nine, you got to practice patience with yourself. Some days are easier than others, and that's okay. Progress may feel slow, but every small step forward is a win. And tip number 10 is to celebrate those wins, whether you're going through a tough day, trying something new, or simply getting out of bed in the morning. Every victory matters. When finally get out of bed, I get my pills into myself, give me my 20 minutes or 25 minutes to let levodopa kicks in, and then I'm moving again. I'm like, oh man, I'm up again. This is gonna be a good day. Start your day positive. Don't just roll over and go, oh my God, here we go another day. It'll start your day in a total negative mindset. So you want to set yourself up for success every single morning. Just a little tip. It's going to be okay. Every victory matters and celebrate them. You get to have 2 cups of coffee, or maybe you get to have a cookie with your coffee because you got out of bed. Whatever. Reward yourself. We've got Parkinson's. Who cares? All right, here it is. The one thing that's truly been a game changer for me. Parkinson's is a progressive disease. And that means that every routine, every trick, every tool I use has to evolve as the disease progresses. It can't stay the same. The key is to pivot when you need to. Be flexible with your routine. Adapt your strategies and adjust your mindset. What worked yesterday might not work today, and that's okay. The secret is to keep adjusting and keep moving forward no matter what. So remember, progressive disease, everything has to progress with it, including your medication. Talk to your doctor. As things get a little tougher for you, maybe it's time to progress your medication. So nothing's ever the same as it was before. Anyway, that's a little look into my day. Parkinson brings its challenges, but it's how you meet them that matters. If you're living with Parkinson's or caring for somebody who is, know that you're not alone. Take it one step at a time and never forget the strength you have within. Please don't. Well, thanks for joining me today. I hope that these tips and suggestions help you face your own challenges with a little more confidence. Stay strong, keep moving forward, and listen, if you have some tips or tricks, some everyday challenges that other people could benefit from them, do me a favor and write them in the comments. Just what the challenge is and what you do, a little tip, a little hack. Let's join together and let's help each other. Thanks again for joining me. I really appreciate you. And do me a favor, don't go anywhere. I got a new playlist over here and I got a video you might like right about there. You have a great day now. Keep moving forward.